19. Duke Wen of Jin retreats 3 Shi. After 19 years of exile, Duke Wen of Jin, Chong'e, ascended the throne and quickly reformed Jin's government, expanded its army, and improved its economy. He aimed to become the hegemon of China, just like Duke Huan of Qi had done before him, restoring the Zhou king's authority. Around this time, King Xiong of Zhou sent an urgent request for military aid. His half-brother, Prince Tai Shudai, had allied with the nomadic Di people and seized the throne. King Xiong fled to Jing state, with only a few attendants, and begged for help from the feudal lords. Most states sent only symbolic aid, like food and condolences, but no one was willing to fight the Di rebels. One of King Xiong's advisors suggested, "Only Qin and Jin have the military power to defeat the Di. Other states are too weak." Hearing this, King Xiong sent an envoy to Jin, requesting Duke Wen's assistance. Duke Wen immediately deployed his army, defeated the Di forces, executed Prince Tai Shudai, and escorted King Xiong back to his capital in Luoyang. This act greatly boosted Duke Wen's reputation, demonstrating his ability to protect the Central Plains. The conflict with Chu begins. 2 years later, King Cheng of Song sent a distress call to Jin. The powerful Chu state had ordered General Cheng Dichen to lead a coalition of 5 states, Chu, Chen, Xiai, Zhang, and Shu, to attack Song. Jin's ministers saw this as a perfect opportunity. Chu constantly bullies the Central Plains. If our ruler wants to become hegemon, he must protect weaker states. This is our chance. Duke Wen agreed, recognizing that defeating Chu was essential to establishing Jin's dominance. He expanded Jin's army, forming 3 elite divisions, and marched to war. The initial strategy: isolating Chu. In 632 BCE, Jin quickly conquered 2 smaller states, Cao and Wei, both of which had been Chu's allies. Duke Wen captured the 2 rulers but secretly told them, "I will restore your thrones if you pledge loyalty to Jin and sever ties with Chu." Cao and Wei complied, cutting off Chu's support. When Chu's general Cheng Dichen heard this, he was furious. "This is that old fox Chong'e's trick," he shouted. Determined to fight, he led his army straight toward Jin's encampment. Duke Wen honors his promise, retreating 3 Shi. As Chu's forces advanced, Duke Wen unexpectedly ordered his troops to retreat. Some of Jin's commanders were outraged. "Our ruler is a king, while their general is just a minister. Why should we retreat?" Jin's top advisor, Hu Yang, explained, "A war must be fought with reason. The Chu king once gave Duke Wen protection. Our ruler promised that if Jin and Chu ever fought, he would retreat 3 Shi, 90 li or 45 km, first. We must honor this promise to preserve our moral righteousness. If we honor our word and Chu still attacks us, then they will be the ones at fault. That will be the perfect moment to strike back." Duke Wen agreed and retreated exactly 90 li, stopping at Chengpu, in modern-day Shandong. The Battle of Chengpu, 632 BCE. Some of Chu's generals urged caution, saying, "Jin has already retreated. Perhaps we should stop advancing." However, Cheng Dichen refused. "This is our chance. They are afraid of us. We will march straight into their camp and crush them." He ordered a full advance toward Chengpu. Jin's clever battle strategy. Instead of facing Chu head-on, Jin devised a brilliant trap. A feigned retreat. When the battle began, Jin's soldiers panicked and pretended to retreat. They dragged tree branches behind their chariots, raising massive dust clouds, making it seem like they were in full retreat, luring Chu into an ambush. Cheng Dichen, believing Jin was fleeing, ordered a reckless pursuit. His army was lured deep into Jin's pre-planned battlefield traps. A devastating counterattack. Once Chu's forces were overextended, Jin's main army turned around and attacked from the front. Hidden Jin troops emerged from the flanks, cutting the Chu army in half. Surrounded and overwhelmed, Chu's forces collapsed into chaos. The aftermath. Chu's army was completely routed. General Cheng Dichen, humiliated by his defeat, committed suicide. Jin soldiers looted Chu's abandoned supplies for 3 days before returning home victorious. Jin becomes the new hegemon. When news of Jin's victory reached the Zhou royal court, King Xiong of Zhou and his ministers celebrated. King Xiong personally traveled to Jiantou, modern-day Henan, to congratulate Duke Wen. Duke Wen took this opportunity to gather the feudal lords and hold a grand alliance meeting. At this alliance conference, the lords pledged to follow Jin, officially making Duke Wen of Jin the new hegemon of China. Legacy of the Battle of Chengpu. The Battle of Chengpu was a turning point in Chinese history. 1. It ended Chu's expansion into the Central Plains. 2. It established Jin as the most powerful state in China. 3. It demonstrated the power of strategic warfare, deception and patience over brute force. 4. It solidified Duke Wen's legacy as one of the 5 hegemons. Most importantly, Duke Wen's decision to honor his promise to Chu, retreating 3 Shi, became legendary, symbolizing integrity and wisdom in diplomacy and war. 20. Xian Gao outsmarts the Qin army. After Duke Wen of Jin defeated Chu at the Battle of Chengpu, 632 BCE, he became the undisputed hegemon of the Central Plains. Even states that had once aligned with Chu, Chen, Cai, and Zhang, now pledged loyalty to Jin. However, Zheng state secretly maintained its alliance with Chu, fearing its power. Jin plans to punish Zhang. Duke Wen discovered Zheng's duplicity and decided to punish them. His ministers suggested, "Our army is strong enough to handle Zheng alone. We don't need to summon the other feudal lords." Duke Wen agreed but reminded them, "Qin is our ally. We must invite them to join the campaign." Qin's involvement in the attack on Zhang. Duke Mu of Qin saw an opportunity to expand Qin's influence eastward. He personally led an army, positioning Qin's forces on the east while Jin's army camped to the west, surrounding Zhang. Zheng's ruler panicked and sent a skilled diplomat, Zhu Jiwu, to negotiate with Qin. Zhu Jiwu cleverly persuaded Duke Mu. If Zhang is destroyed, its land will go to Jin, not Qin. That will make Jin even stronger. Today, Jin takes Zhang. Tomorrow, they might march west toward Qin. But if you make peace with us, we can serve as a diplomatic bridge between you and the eastern states. Qin agrees to withdraw. Duke Mu realized the logic in Zhu Jiwu's argument. He withdrew his forces, but left 3 generals with 2,000 soldiers to guard Zheng's northern gate. When Jin saw Qin's forces leaving, many commanders were outraged. Some urged Duke Wen to attack Qin's retreating army. Others wanted to eliminate the 2,000 Qin soldiers left behind. Duke Wen's decision. Duke Wen refused to betray Qin, saying, "If it weren't for Duke Mu's past help, I would never have regained my throne. We must honor our alliance." Instead of attacking Qin, Duke Wen negotiated with Zheng and secured a new alliance, then withdrew his troops peacefully. Qin plans a surprise attack on Zheng. The Qin generals left behind in Zheng were furious. They sent word to Duke Mu, urging him to launch a new attack on Zheng. 2 years later, in 628 BCE, Duke Wen of Jin passed away, and his son Duke Xiong of Jin succeeded him. Seeing an opportunity, Qin's ministers advised Duke Mu, "Jin is in mourning. If we strike Zheng now, Jin will be too preoccupied to intervene." The Qin generals stationed in Zheng also sent secret messages, promising that Zheng's northern gate is under our control. If you send an army, victory is guaranteed. Warnings from Qin's elder statesmen. However, 2 of Qin's senior ministers, Jian Shu and Bailey Shi, strongly opposed the attack. Jian Shu warned, "Zheng is far away. Marching such a long distance will exhaust our troops. By the time we arrive, Zheng will have already prepared defenses. A prolonged campaign will expose us to counterattacks." Bailey Shi added, "A secret attack on a distant state is impossible. The longer the journey, the more likely our plans will be discovered." Despite these warnings, Duke Mu ignored them and ordered Meng Mingxia as the commanding general, Shi Qishu and Bai Yibing as deputy generals, 300 chariots and a large army to secretly march toward Zheng. Xian Gao outsmarts Qin's army. In early 627 BCE, Qin's army crossed into Hua State, in modern-day Henan, approaching Zheng. Suddenly, They were stopped by a messenger claiming to be from Zhang. The Zheng envoy was actually a cattle merchant named Xian Gao. Xian Gao had accidentally discovered Qin's advancing army while traveling to Luoyang to sell his cattle. He had no time to warn Zheng, so he devised a bold deception. Xian Gao's clever ruse. Xian Gao posed as an official envoy from Zheng and offered Qin's generals a gift of 4 tanned ox hides and 12 fat cows. He told the Qin commanders, "Our king learned of your arrival and humbly offers this token of hospitality to honor your great army." Qin's generals are deceived. Meng Mingxia was shocked. How did Zheng learn about our secret attack, he thought. He assumed Zheng had already prepared its defenses, making a surprise attack impossible. Instead of risking failure, Meng Mingxia called off the invasion. To save face, Qin's army redirected its attack toward the smaller state of Hua, conquering it instead. Xian Gao's message reaches Zhang. After fooling Qin's generals, Xian Gao sent urgent messengers to Zheng's ruler. Zheng's spies confirmed that Qin's forces had been seen preparing for battle. Realizing that Qin's 3 station generals were in on the plot, Zheng's ruler immediately expelled them. The Qin generals were forced to retreat in disgrace. Aftermath and legacy. 1. Xian Gao single-handedly prevented the destruction of Zheng through quick thinking and deception. 2. His actions proved that intelligence and diplomacy could defeat superior military power. 3. Qin suffered a humiliating failure, reinforcing that long-distance surprise attacks were difficult to execute. 4. This incident further strained Qin's relationship with Jin, leading to future conflicts. Xian Gao's clever deception became legendary, demonstrating how a single ordinary man's wit could save an entire state from disaster. 21. The Battle of Mount Xiao, 627 BCE. Qin's failed surprise attack on Zhang. After Qin's secret invasion of Zheng was foiled by Xian Gao's deception, the retreating Qin army, led by Meng Mingxia, Shi Chishu, and Bai Yibing, traveled through the dangerous terrain of Mount Xiao, modern-day Henan. Jin had already received intelligence about Qin's movements and saw an opportunity to cripple their western rival. Jin's general Shenzhen advised Duke Xiong of Jin to ambush the exhausted Qin troops in Mount Xiao. Duke Xiong personally led his army to set up an elaborate ambush in the mountain passes. Jin's devastating ambush. As soon as Qin's army entered Mount Xiao, Jin's troops launched a fierce assault. Qin's army was completely surrounded in the narrow mountain pass, unable to advance or retreat. The battle turned into a massacre. Many Qin soldiers were killed or surrendered. The 3 Qin generals, Meng Mingxia, Shi Chishu, and Bai Yibing, were captured alive. Jin's victory and the release of Qin's generals. Duke Xiong of Jin returned to his capital triumphant. However, his mother, Lady Wenying, who was originally from Qin, urged him to release the captured generals to avoid worsening relations between Qin and Jin. She argued that executing them would only fuel more hostility. Duke Xiong reluctantly agreed and released Meng Mingxia and his men, allowing them to return to Qin. Jin's general objects. General Shenzhen was furious at Duke Xiong's decision. He spat on the ground and said, "We risked our lives to capture them, and you're just letting them go." Duke Xiong, realizing his mistake, sent General Yang Chufu with troops to recapture them. Meng Mingxia and his officers fled as fast as they could, reaching the banks of the Yellow River. Just as Jin's forces arrived, the Qin generals found a small boat and jumped aboard, escaping across the river. Yang Chufu called out, "Come back! Our lord forgot to give you horses for your journey home." Meng Mingxia saw through the deception. From the boat, he respectfully bowed and replied, "Your lord has already shown great mercy by sparing our lives. If we survive, we shall return in 3 years to repay this kindness." The boat drifted away, leaving Jin's soldiers helpless. Qin's humiliation and Qin Mu's response. When Meng Mingxia returned to Qin, Duke Mu of Qin personally welcomed him at the city gates, wearing mourning clothes. The generals knelt in shame, begging for punishment. But Duke Mu took full responsibility, saying, "It was my mistake for not listening to my minister's advice. I cannot blame you for this failure." The 3 generals were deeply moved and swore to dedicate themselves to Qin's military strength. Qin's revenge. 3 years of preparation. Meng Mingxia vowed to avenge the defeat. Over the next 3 years, he donated his personal wealth to support the families of fallen soldiers. He lived like a common soldier, eating the same food and sleeping in rough conditions. He trained Qin's army rigorously, preparing for a rematch with Jin. Despite multiple defeats, Qin's soldiers remained loyal, knowing their leaders shared their hardships. Qin's counterattack, the War of 624 BCE. In 624 BCE, Meng Mingxia, leading a well-prepared Qin army of 500 chariots, launched a counteroffensive against Jin. The Qin soldiers were so determined that they burned their boats after crossing the Yellow River, showing their resolve to win or die trying. Qin recaptured the cities lost in previous battles and even occupied several of Jin's key strongholds. Jin was caught off guard, and its leaders ordered defensive strategies, refusing to engage Qin in open battle. Qin's army freely roamed Jin's territory, challenging their forces to battle, but Jin did not dare respond. Seeing Jin's unwillingness to fight, Qin's advisors suggested, "Bury the fallen soldiers of Mount Xiao here. That will cleanse our shame." Duke Mu of Qin personally led the ceremony, burying the remains of Qin's fallen warriors at Mount Xiao. Qin's newfound power in the west. With this victory, Qin solidified its dominance over the western frontier. The Shirong, tribes and smaller states rushed to align with Qin. This marked the beginning of Qin's rise as a major power, which would later lead to the eventual unification of China under the Qin dynasty. Legacy of the battle. 1. Jin missed an opportunity to weaken Qin permanently. 2. Qin's perseverance demonstrated its future strength. 3. This battle foreshadowed the Jin-Qin rivalry that would shape Chinese history for centuries. 4. It also showed that military failures could be turned into victories through resilience and strategic planning. The Battle of Mount Xiao became a legendary example of both military triumph and the consequences of mercy in warfare.